Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Well, at the beginning of this year, various partners met regularly to develop the Your Life Matters Opportunity Zone, an initiative modeled after the Northside Achievement Zone, a promised neighborhood in Minneapolis. This initiative is referenced in the Your Life Matters Plan of Action. In late April of this year, the core partners under our lead agency, the Department of Public Safety, applied for a performance partnership pilot for disconnected youth grant with the U.S. Department of Education. We have been waiting patiently over the last 9 months and received the great news on Thursday of last week that the Obama administration chose Indianapolis as one of the communities that will receive a $700,000 P3 federal grant to launch the Your Life Matters Opportunity Zone. The Your Life Matters Opportunity Zone will provide comprehensive, concentrated, and coordinated services for cohorts of low-income youth between the ages of 14 through 24 who are truant, at risk of dropping out of school, have dropped out of school, are unemployed or underemployed, or are involved in the juvenile justice system. The YLM Opportunity Zone will serve youth who live at 2 public housing communities within zip code 46218, Hawthorne Place and Beechwood Gardens. This initiative will hire a program director and 2 connectors, each serving 40 youth and families, to work with parents or guardians and their children to develop individual service and success plans, link participants to core service providers, and share data across programs in a new care management database called Empower. Over 3 years, our partners expect to serve between 80 through 240 youth and their families. Several expected outcomes include the reduction of criminal activity among participants, increase in educational attainment for participants in school, an increase in workforce skills, credentials, and employment for participants out of school. The core group of partners, many who you see behind me, includes the Department of Public Safety, Indiana Black Expo, IMPD, the Indianapolis Housing Agency, Employ Indy, IPS, Forest Manor Multi-Service Center, HealthNet, and INHP. Let me provide a brief description of the role of each partner. In addition to the $700,000 grant opportunity, we are also happy to report that we have leveraged more than an additional $1 million for this initiative. Can we give her? I want to stop and clap myself. So the City of Indianapolis Department of Public Safety will serve as the lead agency and provide financial management, compliance, and reporting for the NDP3 grant. DPS will also concentrate law enforcement and public safety services in the Opportunity Zone. The Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department will develop and implement a new mentoring program in the Opportunity Zone. Indiana Black Expo is currently implementing the Your Life Matters initiative on behalf of the City of Indianapolis, and thus will coordinate the Opportunity Zone pilot under the leadership of Dr. Michael Twyman, who is heading up the Your Life Matters initiative. It will be responsible for coordinating services, tracking measurable data, and reporting on outcomes for disconnected youth between the ages of 14 through 24. As a backbone support organization, IBE's role is also to engage the community as active leaders and producers of services that will create and sustain long-term change. IBE will hire the YLM Opportunity Zone coordinator, help select 2 connectors, and develop a new participant tracking database based on the Empower system. The Indianapolis Housing Agency will also provide housing and support services. IHA is not only allowing us to come in and partner with it to provide intense and concentrated support services for its residents, but it will continue to provide services and resources such as case management services, its family self-sufficiency program, employment training and workforce certification, and a host of activities for the youth, including campus tours, job shadowing opportunities, career exploration, and mentoring. Employ Indy is a critical partner that will provide workforce development training and employment. More specifically, Employ Indy will administer the DOL employment and training programs for youth and adults. Employ Indy will deploy a workforce expert to work within the Opportunity Zone with YLM connectors to engage youth participants in developing work readiness, life skills, career exploration, and planning and appropriate training. It will play a central role in preparing in-school and out-of-school youth and families for employment in high-demand careers with growth opportunity. The Indianapolis Public Schools will refer students who are truant or at risk of dropping out to IHA, which will collaborate with connectors to engage them in the initiative. It will also provide student data to IHA pursuant to their data exchange agreement for a new truancy prevention program. Forest Manor Multi-Service Center will link youth with employment programs and will supervise the connectors dedicated to work with youth participants and their families on site in their housing communities, minimizing travel for youth. HealthNet's role is to provide access to primary care health services for area residents, including the targeted 14 through 24-year-olds with low-cost primary care services. INHP will provide financial literacy, credit counseling, and self-sufficiency training for participants. Additionally, INHP will help some of the participants and their families prepare for home ownership as their employment and incomes increase. Each of the core partners will assign one of their existing case managers to serve on the core team and has agreed to target existing funding sources in support of youth participants in these areas. They will also make referrals to many other agency partners. An external evaluator will be part of our multidisciplinary team that will meet regularly to evaluate and monitor interim measures and progress for participants and their families. At this time, we will have Director David Wantz with Department of Public Safety.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, the Department of Public Safety is thrilled about this collaboration. You heard this long list of partners that is going to be joined together in this initiative. Here's why this matters to us. We can't arrest our way out of a problem. We can't arrest our way into a fully functioning community. In fact, a fully functioning community has to have these problems solved. It's health, it's hunger, it's housing, it's education, and it's jobs. And when Ms. Bell just read to you this long list of partners, all of them are included in this venture. That's an important piece to know because that will stop the dysfunction and in fact make for a more cooperative, collaborative community so that the people coming into this, these youth from 14 to 24, people who are very vulnerable to bad influences, will have significant influences with other people so that they can survive, but also that they can thrive. Again, it's health, housing, hunger, education, and jobs. So the Indianapolis Police Department is thrilled because now their community affairs folks will be mentoring an estimated 35 to 40 students a week, at 35 to 40 a week at a time, 3 hours of individual or group counseling, and 12 hours a month. So here you have law enforcement officers who are going to be having one-on-one relationships with these students and forming relationships. We know that a child that has adverse childhood experiences needs to have one significant relationship, and that one significant relationship can make a difference. So our community relations folks are going to be really thrilled to be involved in that. The weekly mentoring will include an hour of evidence-based curriculum, recreational and educational programming, and an hour of contact in the school or home setting. So it's not going to just be a sterile place where it's going to be. The curriculum is going to be based on increasing protective factors and decreasing the risk factors for these youth, especially those factors associated with bonding to communities and to the school. So it'll take those people who are prone to truancy and dropout and help them to get reconnected there. We'll be collaborating, as you've heard, with all these partners as we have all over the years. We'll be serving as the fiscal agent as well. And we'll also be increasing patrols and our presence in public safety as part of our city crime prevention program. It's a great opportunity. The $700,000 being leveraged with another $1 million. We feel pretty positive that this is going to make a huge difference in this community. Thank you.
At this time, we'll have Andrea Ekior, who is the Director of Resident Relations with IHA.
Excuse me, thank you, Tanya. The Indianapolis Housing Agency is really grateful to be a part of this initiative with all these great partners to support in this effort. We are not only glad to be a part of this endeavor, but we are absolutely proud to be able to provide this service to our residents. We're actually answering their call. A lot of mothers and fathers have come to us and said that we need more education and training opportunities for our young people, and this initiative will allow us to do that. So the Indianapolis Housing Agency is proud to be a partner of this effort. Thank you.
And at this time, we'll have Scott Johnson, Director of Quality and Initiatives for Employ Indy.
Good morning. Employ Indy is also extremely excited to be a part of this endeavor. Our mission within Marion County is to work towards career growth, long-term sustainable employment for anyone that we can possibly help. And this will give us an opportunity to hopefully connect with some of the disconnected youth in the community that we sometimes don't have coming into our Work One offices or visiting us at one of our mobile sites. We're planning on offering the same type of services that we offer to everyone else within the community. That will be support within secondary education, alternative schools, adult basic ed, and then also occupational skills training, and then career mentoring from that point forward. So we can look at something that's more of an immediate, midterm, and long-term goal strategy so that they can truly see outcomes in the long term. And with all the other partners that are coming to the table, it will hopefully help us continue to build and grow this opportunity outside of just this initial promise zone into further endeavors in the future too. Thank you.
And at this time, we'll have Dr. Michael Twyman, the Your Life Matters Executive Director, that will be overseeing and heading up this initiative.
Thank you, Ms. Bell. Now, as you can tell by my colleagues' remarks and those who are present here in the room and some that are not, this is indeed a community effort. It took people working across organizations, agencies, and even sectors to get here. It will require that same level of cooperation and coordination to accomplish the goals and objectives that are set forth in the YLM Opportunity Zone. At the end of the day, it is all about opportunities. We must commit to ensuring that we work together so that the least among us is afforded every chance to live their best life. This also builds upon generous support that Your Life Matters has received from USAID funds that have helped to build the organizational and programmatic infrastructure through Indiana Black Expo to undertake such critical work, and in the areas of the city where the need is greatest. Along with that support, we will be leveraging the $50,000 grant from the Central Indiana Community Foundation through the Crime Prevention Fund to target these services in 46218 and toward reducing arrests, incarceration, and recidivism. A focused attention on expanding opportunities for education, employment, healthcare, and mentoring, we know are the best investments we can make in young people to connect them, to deter crime, and to curb irresponsible behavior. Again, it's about what life matters for Indianapolis, and each life matters. Thank you.
And at this time, we'll open it up for any questions.
When you talk about data collection, what kind of data will you be looking at?
A lot of data. So, and I don't know if Employee Indy, you want to kind of answer some of that on the employment side, but on the educational side, GPAs. So we'll have a multidisciplinary team that actually looks at really how they progress throughout. So we'll come in initially and do an assessment. It is a multi-generational approach. So even though we focus on 14 through 24, we're doing an assessment of the entire family. So we'll come in, we'll see how they're doing in school, behaviorally, from a grade standpoint. Everyone at the table will be looking at different types of data. So your healthcare folks will be looking at it from a health perspective. Then your educational experts will be looking at it from an educational matter. So education and employment are the two big things. The two major outcomes coming from this initiative is just making sure that these kids graduate and are prepared to either go to college or have a very good job. And so that's the two primary outcomes that we would like to see with respect to the initiative. So we'll look at a lot of interim measures as we go through that lead to that. And we will have also an external evaluator that has the expertise to help us throughout this process. The great thing about this was modeled after the Minneapolis Promise neighborhood. We have their evaluator that's been on board, that's part of this initiative, that's gonna help us throughout this process. I hope I answered your question. Any other questions?
So the connectors, are they basically gonna be personal advocates for the specific youth that you're gonna serve? I mean,
Yes.
now somebody who, like, what do I need to do with this agency,
Right.
this agency? Now, can you talk about the connectors job?
Sure. It's similar to what you would say a case manager does as an advocate. We talk about this language now called disconnected youth, individuals who are not able to get to the resources that are most needed in order to make them successful. The connector is that liaison. So we've talked about the partner agencies that are at the table, but we need to really have some boots on the ground, so to speak, and that's what the connectors do, is to be the conduit between the residents, particularly the young people and their families, and these many agencies and service providers that are standing ready to provide service, but again, may need to have someone who helps to stand in the gap. So the connector is really that piece to connect the young people and their families to the services and resources that are available in the community, and again, are a part of our array of partners.
And what was the total on funds raised for, I mean, there was the almost $700,000 grant, and then you mentioned the other,
So an additional, more than $1 million leveraged through the partners.
oh, okay.
So the great thing is it really is a capacity sort of flexibility grant that was provided from the U.S. Department of Education and a lot of other federal agencies. But the great thing I think about this collaboration and some of the things that we want to see us do more of is really sit down with the partners and leverage what we're already doing in those fundings to directly target this community. So in addition to that $700,000, we have more than $1 million coming into targeted toward this initiative.
So that million came from the partners as a matching grant, is that correct?
It wasn't required as a matching grant, but that same concept, leveraged, yeah. Any additional questions?
I would just add to that in terms of the Your Life Matters having adopted what is called a collective impact model. It really looks at working from the resources that already exist. So it's wonderful that, of course, we have additional resources and new money coming in, but there's a lot of money that's already out there on the street, and it's about really deploying it and allocating it specifically to have very measurable outcomes. So not only will we be using new dollars coming in, but really taking advantage of the many resources that are already existing in the community.
Any additional questions? Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.